The Ice Beer Project looks at Milwaukee's Best Ice, 5.9% alcohol, introduced in 1994 during the ice beer craze. This is a 32-ounce can. It says on the side ale. Well, it's not an ale, but if it's going to be distributed in Texas, they'll put that because of the bizarre Texas alcohol laws. So if you look at the label carefully, it's got a shield and the ice bursting. You know, it's kind of like bursting through the ice, and you see the shards of ice flying everywhere. This is the label they came out with in 2010. Interestingly, in 2010 it was pulled from our area, and I called it the distributor, and they said it wasn't selling. They had whole pallets they were getting rid of, so they just pulled it. Then it started making a comeback about a year and a half later, and mainly around here they sell it in these 32-ounce cans, and one of the guys from Crescent Crown told me it sells pretty well at the gas stations with these 32-ounce quart cans. I did notice that around Tulane University, close to the Tulane University campus in New Orleans, they'll sell 30 packs, 12-ounce can 30 packs for, I guess, the college crowd. Somebody's on a riding lawnmower back there. Here's the original Milwaukee's Best Ice can. Same thing, the shield. Milwaukee's Best beer since it came out in 1984 under the Miller version. Has the regular, the light, and the ice always has the shield. But if you'll notice, it's 5.5% alcohol, the original iteration. Contains no additives or preservatives. The second can, they upped it to 5.9. This design was out for a little while with that kind of curvy writing, and they finally started adding Miller to the can design. Then they updated it. Milwaukee's Best Ice Premium Beer, it says here in this can. Premium beer, okay. Premium beer. The black shield. Oh, I thought this was a pretty sharp looking can, kind of swirly. Not squirrely. Then they came out with the second to last can, established 1895. That's when the original Milwaukee's Best beer came out in Milwaukee, 1895. But it wasn't a Miller brand until 1961. But this design was out for a good while. And it also says beer. But this can does not say beer anywhere on it. And that might be because this one is for Texas distribution and Louisiana, although it might say beer in other states. It might say lager, depending. So, no additives or preservatives whatsoever. I started drinking this beer back in 1996 when I started my beer drinking project. The problem with these quart cans is they tend to want to spill everywhere, and then you lose some of your ounces. So it's a very common thing if I get these quart cans of Miller High Life or Milwaukee's Best, it'll start spilling because they got it filled so high to the top. Now once it goes down it won't spill over, but it's just the beer is to the very top, so it just starts pouring out everywhere. It's almost impossible not to spill it. But anyway, you get on a narrower brim glass, you'll get a thicker white head. You get a clear, very filtered, golden appearance. It's a gold beer, golden lager with a lot of bubble streams, and you're going to get that characteristic Miller lacing. You know, Miller beers, if you've drank enough, you'll see they always have that thick lacing down the side of the glass. I've always noticed with Milwaukee's Best Ice, it has a pungent aroma, grain, which is the barley malt, and the yellow corn grits. It's quite sweet, and it's a full flavor. Now, I used to not like it as much as I do now because it was kind of a harsh. I always thought it was kind of a harsh ice beer, a little too rich. And maybe Keystone Ice is a little smoother, but let's go with the flavor. It's a good value though. I think that can is like $1.29, $1.39 maybe, some places. But I believe that was $1.29 for the 32-ounce can. So like 65 cents a pint. Now, Beer Advocate says it's awful, but the bros say it's okay. Now, if you ever check Beer Advocate out enough, these common beers, very frequently they'll get a terrible score, but then the bros will say, oh, it's okay, I like it. You know, there's nothing great, they'll say, but it's okay. Rate Beer, however, doesn't cut it any slack, and it's getting a 0 out of 100 on Rate Beer. A 0 out of 100, I repeat. Certainly not a 0. It's got that rich, sweet, rather bold flavor. You're getting that alcohol there for sure. It's a little hoppy. There's some hop bitterness to balance out that overriding sweetness. And it's certainly corn focused. I mean, you can pick up those yellow corn grits, but that's so typical for Miller. You'll even notice it in Miller High Life. I mean, yeah, Miller High Life, you get more of a cooked vegetable, but you'll get it in the Miller, I wanted to say the Miller Light. Even more so in Miller High Life Light, which has, I find, even a cornier flavor than the Miller Light, or light beer from Miller, whatever. The mouthfeel is medium, light to medium, I should say. In between light and medium. Has some body to it, and it's more concentrated. And the finish is pretty crisp, refreshing, easygoing. I'm drinking this afternoon before I go to a baseball game, college baseball game. Yeah, if I'm gonna buy a Milwaukee's Best beer, it's usually not going to be the light. Although if I was buying a light beer, it probably would be Milwaukee's Best Light, because I think it's probably one of the best light beers in the market, regular light beers. The Milwaukee's Best, the regular one, 4.3% alcohol, that's a good one for a lighter alcohol regular beer. Excuse me. What they do with that is they'll explain this on the Miller website. They take the Milwaukee's Best premium beer, the one that came out in 1984, and they'll bring it down to freezing. They actually freeze the beer, and then they skim off the ice crystals. This was something that Miller actually kind of came up with in America. The first ice beer in America was Ice House in '93, a year before this one. And so you're getting the water being taken out of it, and you have a more of a concentration of beer, and then the alcohol level rises, and the strength and the flavor of the beer increases. So that's how they do that. It's not necessarily a different recipe. It's just Milwaukee's Best beer iced down, and the ice crystal skimmed off. Pretty clever invention. So it's not the greatest thing in the world, obviously. Wasn't brewed to be that. It's brewed to be a cheap, or Miller might not want to use that word. They would say something like, it's brewed to be a value-priced, bolder than average, higher than average alcohol. They won't say that, but they'll imply that. Beer. So, or lager, or in this ridiculous case, ale. It is not an ale, it is a lager. So anyway, if you've had it, let me know what you think about Milwaukee's Best Ice. I've had it so many times, it's ridiculous, but and we can continue with the ice beer project and we can talk about it. So thank you for watching this video production.